Welcome. I know you guys probably already saw the agenda, but today we're going to be talking about, I'm going to give you a quick 10-second introduction, who I am, why you should listen to me, what I have to offer. Then I'm going to talk about the PE exam, right? Why do we want to take it in the first place? What are the benefits? Then we're going to talk about why is this exam so difficult? It has a really big stigma in the industry of just being a really difficult barrier. A lot of people might pass on the first time, but you also hear stories of people taking 3, 4, even 5 times to pass it. So we're going to kind of identify what makes it so challenging. And then once we do that, number 4, we're going to talk about proven strategies to pass, right? Once we've identified all those pain points, we're going to talk about the specific tactics and strategies to get past all of them. Next, I'm going to talk to you about us, electricalpereview.com. I'm going to talk to you about our teaching methodologies and how we can help and how we are very success oriented. And then last, I'll have an open Q&A. All right, so quick 10-second introduction about me. I'm a professionally licensed engineer in the state of Florida. I have an ABET accredited Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering degree, like I'm sure many of you do today. I passed both the FE and the PE exam on the first try. I have a lot of rich experience in industrial automation, motor control, power generation, and medium voltage substations. My experience comes from kind of boots on the ground working in industrial settings. So any kind of industrial machinery applications, those of you, I know you guys work at a utility, so any of you that actually work on, sometimes it's referred to as the generating side or working on in the actual plant, those are similar roles that I have performed in the past. Besides that, I really enjoy the math behind electrical engineering and teaching others. I like to really dig into those complicated topics and find out ways to make them more intuitive to understand. And I've been primarily focused full-time now on helping electrical engineers pass the PE exam since 2014. Our main product is at electricalpereview.com. It's where we have online classes for the Power PE exam. And then we recently started a sister website. We're offering free classes for the FE exam at www.electricalfereview.com. All right, I'm looking in the chat room now on my second monitor, so if you see me looking off to the left, who here is an electrical engineer in the chat room? Is everyone an electrical engineer, or do we have a mix of maybe electrical and mechanical or some civils, or are we mostly power engineers in here? Let me know directly in the chat. Okay, a couple of civils, great. Who else? Okay, some more power engineers from Aaron and Saiful. Rabin, electrical engineers, great. Nico, is it Avijit? Did I pronounce your name right? Power, says William, electrical engineer from Christopher, great. So it looks like most of us are power engineers, which is fantastic. You go by Avi, thanks for letting me know. So I see there's a few civil engineers. The good thing is the strategies that I'm going to recommend are applicable to all PE exams, right? Whether it's power, whether it's mechanical, whether it's civil, HVAC and refrigeration, all of the strategies I'm going to talk about today, they're applicable to every exam type. So don't feel like you're missing out or don't feel like this isn't for you. Now, we only specialize in electrical power, so we only provide exam prep services for the power exam, but a lot of the strategies we're going to talk about will still be helpful. All right. Next, who here, and regardless of discipline, whether you're one of the civil engineers I'm seeing in the chat, who here, regardless of discipline, has already passed the FE exam, sometimes known as the EIT exam, right? Who has the engineer in training or the engineer intern designation after passing that first exam, passing the FE exam? Great, looks like Brandon has passed the FE exam, fantastic. Same with Matthew, good job. Anyone else? Anyone else already passed the FE exam? Looks like, oh, a bunch of you, okay. Aaron, is it Mamadou? Did I say that right? Loretta, fantastic. Great. A lot of you are coming in fast now. Fantastic. Is anyone in here already a licensed engineer? Or is anyone in here, have you already passed the PE exam? Has anyone already passed the PE exam? Maybe one or two of you. Okay, looks like Vincent is licensed in Delaware. Fantastic. Anyone else? Great. All right, so that's it for me. Just a quick, short 10-second introduction so you know more about my background, right, and who you're talking with. Next, let's take a look at why take the PE exam in the first place, right? Why do we even want to pass the PE exam? So first and foremost, right, and I'm looking at the first bullet point, it's the last step in professional licensure, right? Now, some states, and it's becoming more popular to do so, they decouple the exam from typically the 4-year experience requirement. So a lot of states, you can now take the PE exam before having your 4 years of experience. But typically, we think of passing the PE exam as the very last step in getting your PE license, right? Getting, whether you order a stamp or a seal, getting your professional license. So with that, the biggest advantage of passing the PE exam and getting your license, of course, it's to sign and seal construction documents. Now, I know this doesn't really apply to the electrical utility, and I know you guys work for an electrical utility, so we're going to focus on the other benefits. But in general, the biggest benefit typically lends itself to the construction industry, mostly building design. Now, besides that opportunity, taking the PE exam and passing, it's a tremendous undertaking. It's going to be a huge learning opportunity. In order to pass the exam, you're going to have a working knowledge of just about every single aspect in the industry, and you're going to have to learn it well enough to answer enough points correctly to pass. So you really get a much bigger bird's eye view of the other aspects of the industry, and you'll be amazed at how much you're going to learn that's directly applicable to what you do day in the life. So I'm assuming, since you guys work for Pepco, you work for a utility, I'm assuming I'm talking to a mix of probably transmission engineers, probably distribution engineers, probably some protection and controls engineers, maybe if you work on the plant side, motor controls, maybe ladder logic, maybe kind of some instrumentation. So you're going to learn a lot more of these topics in theory. That's going to make you a better decision maker on your day-to-day job. When you look at something in the field or when you see something on a project, you're going to know exactly what you're dealing with, right? So it's a tremendous learning opportunity. Next, with that learning opportunity comes professional development, right? The better your knowledge is in this technical field of engineering, the more your professional development is going to continue to grow. You're just going to be more competent in what you do. You're going to make less mistakes. You're going to be able to make decisions faster and with greater accuracy, right? Next, with professional development comes career advancement, right? Who here wants a promotion? I know I sure do. Who here wants to be able to take bigger job leaps? Who wants to be more considered when different openings come up, whether in a different role, different part of your industry, maybe working with a different team, right? As your professional development increases, your career advancement increases with it, right? Next, and all of this comes with passing the PE exam, with getting your professional license. Again, whether you're one of the electrical engineers in here today or one of the civil engineers that I saw. So next, this comes with being able to take on greater responsibility, whether the greater responsibility is from a management perspective and managing maybe people or projects, or greater responsibility from a technical perspective, right? Maybe on the design side, maybe on setting protective relays, right? Whatever it is, whatever part of the industry or the role you're currently in, you're gonna be able to take on greater responsibility. And the best thing about taking on greater responsibility is it's increased employment opportunities and income, right? The more responsibility that we can take on and that we can take on well and accurately without making mistakes, the more promotions we're going to get, the more raises we're going to get, the more income we're going to get as employees. Now, of course, this also helps our employers, because as we continue to grow, we can support our employers, right? And then hopefully our employers support us in turn too with increased employment opportunities. Next, and here's probably my favorite aspect of having a PE license, is industry authority, right? Especially when you're working on projects with either internal colleagues that you haven't met with, or external colleagues, maybe with different companies or maybe state regulating bodies. When you're working with people you haven't met yet, when they see PE next to your name at the end of your email signature, as simple as it sounds, it really makes people pause and consider who they're talking to. It comes with a tremendous amount of authority. It comes with a tremendous amount of weight. It really increases that trust factor. Again, engineering, whatever the discipline, it's very technical. All disciplines of engineering are technical. So with that added kind of authority comes much more trust. People are going to listen when they talk to you. They're going to be a lot of times second to kind of question your decision. and they're going to know they're going to have to do their homework if they're going to challenge you on something. It comes with a tremendous amount of authority. And last, I'm not sure, do you guys have a pension with Pepco? Let me know in the chat. But a lot of times, the higher your role is in an industry when you retire, the more pension you're going to get. So that doesn't really apply to all companies, as a lot of companies now are moving away from a pension and more towards a 401k. But a lot of times, your position before you retire is linked to pension benefits. All right, looking at you guys here in the chat. Right here at the bottom, can you think of any other benefits to passing the PE exam? Whether it's something you've always thought of, or after talking to a licensed engineer, can you guys think of any other benefits? And let me know right in the chat. Can you think of any other benefits, or even maybe write why you're interested in passing the PE exam, or why you would consider passing the PE exam? Let's see, Christopher said, review the fundamentals. Great. Yeah, and that goes right back to tremendous learning opportunity. Excellent. Haha, Nico, bragging rights. I love that. Yeah, bragging rights is huge. And I'd put that right up with industry authority, right? I've got my PE. I know what I'm doing, right? You need to take what I have to say seriously. You need to really listen to what I'm saying. Let's see, is it Kadeem? Did I say your name right? Kadeem said, gain more confidence in my abilities. Fantastic. Yeah, no, I would put that right in with professional development. Have more confidence, right? You're not going to be second guessing yourself as much because you've put in the work to really understand these topics enough to get your license. Fantastic answers. Anyone else before we move on? Any other benefits to passing the PE exam that you can think of, or any personal reasons why you would want to put in the effort and the work to pass the PE exam? All right, the chat is slowing down. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next slide, but feel free to type your answer in the chat. And let's see, we'll answer one more. Vincent said in the chat, Vincent said, you already mentioned career advancement, specifically for folks here. It shaves off 1 year towards the next promotion, if applicable, if you don't already have your master's. Wow, that's fantastic. So I'm assuming PHI is Pepco. So Vincent said, for a career advancement for your license, it removes 1 year requirement for moving up towards the next promotion. Wow, that's incredible. And I bet even just that first promotion, if you can move up a year early, that means all your future promotions are going to come that much faster. It's going to put you on a much more upward career trajectory compared to your colleagues or your fellow employees that don't have their license. Great answer. Thank you for that, Vincent. Let's see. Is it Hadi or Haj? Let me know if I pronounce your name right, please. Said, recognizing the signature on permitting documents to be submitted to some state departments. Fantastic. Yeah. So I'm assuming that's more on the regulatory side, maybe, or when you're working with the authority having jurisdiction as a utility. Great. So then you do need either you do need your license, or at least being able to recognize the signature on permitting documents. Fantastic. All excellent answers. All right. So we talked about why take the PE exam, right? We know it's tough, right? Why would we want to subject ourselves to that in the first place? What are the benefits to us personally as engineers? So now let's shift our focus and talk about why is it so difficult. Now, civil engineers here, I will be speaking mostly to electrical engineers, but I promise the proven strategies after this will be for you as well. So if we just zoom in our lens first here, and when we look at the electrical power exam compared to all the other exams, historically, it's had the lowest pass rate. So there's about 23 disciplines of engineering that provide licenses for. I've included just a sample here, some of the more common ones by number of engineers that take it. And historically, the power exam has the lowest first-time pass rate and the lowest repeat pass rate. Now, before we look at this data, I want to give you a little bit of encouragement. The power exam just transitioned from paper and pencil, sitting down at a desk bubbling a Scantron, to the CBT format, computer-based testing. If you've taken the FE exam on a computer, it's the same format. So the power exam transitioned from paper and pencil to computer-based at the end of last year, December 2020. Since then, the pass rate has been released as of January 2021, and it's increased from 50% here, this pass rate in the red box, to 70%. It's been a huge jump. Now, I'm expecting that 70% is going to decrease as more data comes available, and here's why. In 2020, during the pandemic, the April 2020 PE exam was canceled for Power. The October 2020 PE exam was canceled for Power. So you had a whole group of people that had been studying for the PE Power exam for anywhere from 6 months to over a year, right? Typically, engineers study for 3 or 4 months, and then they take the PE exam. So all of the candidates from 2020 studied for the exam almost an entire year before they took the new CBT format. So if you go on the NCEES website, the link's down here, if you look at the pass rates, you'll notice Power is up at 70%, but that data is only from, that data is only from January 2021. So that 70% pass rate that's currently public data is only looking at December 2020 and January 2021. I'm really curious to see how the pass rate gets updated now that we're in end of June, right? We're about to start July. We're about 6 months into the new year, 2021. I'm really curious to see how that data changes when more people take it with what's a more common amount of study time. All right, having given that a little bit of encouragement, the Power exam, historically, since inception, lowest pass rate. So looking at this data, this was in 2020. Notice the pass rate's 50%, right? Out of every 2 people that took the Power exam from when this data was published, only 1 person passed. If you look at most of the civil exams are in the 70%. Civil construction is a little low, 61%. Civil structural is also a little low, 63%. But even looking at mechanical, thermal, and fluids at the bottom is 83%, right? When we compare that to 50%, the Power exam is a very difficult PE exam. So now most of you are probably wondering why. Why is the Power exam so much more difficult compared to the other disciplines? So up here on this first bullet point, electrical engineering, it's one of the most technical disciplines of engineering. And you know, if you have friends that are mechanical engineers, friends that are civil engineers, or maybe even chemical, everyone's going to debate, you know, what's the best engineering degree, what's the most difficult, what's the most technical. I'm biased, I'm an electrical engineer, but looking at what's tested on the PE exam, the Power exam is the most technical discipline in engineering in terms of breadth, right? How wide, how many subjects, and depth. And to what depth are each of those subjects tested on? Now, second bullet point, every single industry of electrical power engineering is on the exam. Even things like power electronics, right? Things that we probably haven't really understood since we got our degree in college, however long that might have been. So whether you're a transmission engineer, you're gonna need to learn everything else. Whether you're a hands-on field guy that works maybe troubleshooting motor circuits, or maybe you're a project management engineer more on the design side, you're gonna need to know symmetrical components, protection relays, motors, transformers. You're even need to know engineering economics, instrument transformers, right? The list goes on and on and on. You're gonna have to learn every part of the industry because it's tested on the exam. Third bullet point, what makes it so difficult is the majority of study material is very difficult to learn from. Academic textbooks are either way too dense, right? And then PE exam textbooks and practice exams, they typically skip steps or they make assumptions, right? They're gonna assume that you already have all the foundations understood. So they're gonna skip that when they explain the solution. So when you look at the solution at the back of the book to figure out, why did I get this problem wrong? It's not gonna make sense. And you're gonna spend, 4 to 6 hours just trying to figure out the steps that the author didn't include. It's a very time-consuming way to learn, right? Most of the learning material, it's just not very good. Other than that, the exam is long, right? It's about 8 hours split between 2 sessions, right? This is applicable to the civil exam too. Your mental endurance is tested. A lot of people can sit down for about an hour and solve problems. After about an hour, you get pretty tired, right? Do that for 8 hours. How many mistakes are you going to be making towards the end of that 8 hours, right? It's tough. 8 hours is a long time to problem solve. And last, right, preparing for the exam, it's a full-time job in and of itself. I know all of you already have a full-time job. I'm sure many of you have a spouse at home, probably kids too, or hobbies. On top of all that, now has a full-time job of studying for this exam. So it's difficult to manage studying with your career and family or social responsibilities. All right, question, I'm looking here in the chat room on my second monitor, the electrical power engineers, who here is already familiar with the specifications for the PE exam? Who here has gone on the NCEES website, looked at all those subjects, right? General power engineering, motors, transformers, protection, overcurrent devices, National Electrical Code. Who here has seen that document with the outline where it lists every single subject on the PE exam? Anyone here in the chat? Has anyone seen that specification document? It's pretty intimidating, isn't it? William said, I have. Nico said, I. Great. What do you guys think of it? It's pretty intimidating, right? It's a really long list of subjects that, you know, if you haven't already started getting ready for the PE exam, it's probably subjects you're not that familiar with. You recognize the words, but being able to solve technical questions, theoretical questions, application questions, right? Solve a value for this problem, or theory, how does this thing work? Or application, how do you use this thing, or how do we use it or pick it out for the best application? It's tough. Yeah, William said absolutely. Yeah, those of you, if you haven't seen it, I highly encourage you to take a look at it on the NCEES website. It's so intimidating, it's gonna motivate you to start early, which is a good thing. All right, now specifically to electrical engineering, what's so challenging about it, and this information comes from me teaching live classes year after year after year. The math and the theory in electrical engineering, it permeates every subject. Every single subject, you're gonna deal with complex numbers, right, in polar and rectangular. If you look over here on the left, here's a phasor diagram of a complex number, right? We're not just dealing with the quantity. It's not just 5 volts, right? It's 5 volts and what's the phase angle, right? It's not just kilowatts, it's what's the kilowatts and what's the power factor, right? It's not just volt amps, it's volt amps and what's the power angle. We're dealing with the hypotenuse and the angle, or we're dealing with the real component and the imaginary component, right? Complex numbers in polar and rectangular form. It's a lot of work to get used to working problems in complex numbers. After that, you have the square root of 3. You got to multiply it by this time, or are we going to divide by the square root of 3 this time? Depends on the topic. Are we dealing with phase values or line values? How can we tell? How do we get good at recognizing the context clues in the problem to know are we dealing with a phase value, line to neutral value, or a line value? After that, everyone's least favorite per unit system, right? Nobody likes a per unit system. Sometimes we're even working complex numbers in the per unit system. Then delta Y relationships. The Y side is easier to learn. Sometimes most engineers struggle with the delta side. After that, dealing with three-phase versus three-phase relationships, right? Is this a single-phase system? Is this a three-phase system? Or are we dealing with just a per-phase model of a bigger three-phase system? How do we know? How do we learn the context clues in the problem so we know how to approach these problems? Then you've got balanced and unbalanced systems. You've got positive sequence, negative sequence systems. You're going to be working with Kirchhoff's voltage and current laws. And you're going to be working with different complex equivalent circuits for different machines and faults, right? So everything that I just listed, just about every single one of those topics on that long specification list, you're going to deal with all of these nuances within every single topic, right? It's a lot to learn. Now, question. Has anyone in here attempted the PE exam and not passed? Has anyone here already taken the PE exam and not passed? Please don't be shy. Don't be afraid to speak up. Sometimes not everyone wants to admit it, but if anyone has, I'm really curious. Let's see. Christopher said not yet. William said I have. Great. So William, I have a question for you, and it's the second question here on my slide. What did you find, if you're comfortable sharing with us, what did you find most difficult about the PE exam, right? Since you took it and you passed, what was most difficult? The depth. Got it. Yeah. Or I'm assuming, William, how much you had to learn about every single topic, right? How deep on every single subject they could test you on, combined with how many subjects you've got to go to that layer of depth with. Great. Thank you for sharing, William. All right. So we talked about all the pain points. We talked about why it's so difficult. Let's shift gears here again, and let's talk about how do we pass, right? What are the proven strategies to pass the PE exam, right? What can I share with you based on coaching engineers since 2014 to pass the exam? So the first thing, start early. I think 4 months is the sweet spot. this is going to be different on an individual basis. I find that engineers fresh out of college do better at studying for focused blocks of time. They're used to sitting down and studying from college, and their math background is sharper, but their theory, their industry know-how, the vocabulary is really weak compared to engineers maybe 10, 15, 20 years in the field, right? The further you are from college, the harder it is for you to sit down and study for long stretches of time. Your math is going to be rusty, but on the flip side, your industry experience is a lot higher. Your vocabulary in the field is better. You're going to have a better sense of applications just from what you've seen in your job. And then anywhere in the middle of those two extremes, it's going to be kind of a pros and cons of both. So I typically suggest 4 months before the exam is the best time to start. Again, some individuals might need more, some individuals might need less. Next, use a calendar. Who here uses a work calendar? And I know I do, whether it's on Gmail or maybe Outlook, depending on what email program you guys use. Who here in the chat uses a calendar email program, whether you're looking at when are my meeting times or when is this project due? Maybe when do I have to send a report in? Use your calendar, right? Whether you're using an email calendar or whether maybe you have one at home that you print and you pin up on your fridge or your front door that you can look at with your spouse and your family. Whatever calendar you use the most, literally block out time. Plan when you're going to study in advance. Get used to looking on your calendar. Hey, I'm gonna study this weekend. I'm looking at my calendar, 8 hours Saturday, maybe 4 days or 4 hours Sunday. I'm gonna squeeze in 3 hours on Tuesday to attend a class. When you put it on your calendar, it's just like project meetings. No one wants to do it, but by seeing it on your calendar ahead of time, it's going to help you commit. It's going to help you make that mental decision ahead of time that for this time, whether I feel like it or not, I'm going to do the work. So use your calendar. After that, this one's really key. I'm going to highlight it here. And it's a tough one, but I really recommend 1 8 hour per week of studying. I typically think Saturday is the best time to do this. Why on earth would we want to study for 8 hours in one day? Well, it's just like the PE exam. If you give me two people, one person has been studying for a year for the PE exam, but they've only been studying in 1 or 2 hour chunks, and you give me someone that's only been studying for 4 or 3 months, but they've been doing 1 8 hour day a week, as long as they've both been putting in the same intensity and effort, my bet is on the person that's only been studying for 3 or 4 months, but that's been doing 8 hours once a week. It's going to train your mind. You're going to build up that stamina, that endurance. My favorite analogy to use is a sports analogy, but if you're not a sports fan, that's okay. I like to think about the Olympic sprinters, right? If you take one of the best sprinters in the Olympics, like one of the best, you pick that person up and put them in just an average marathon, not even an Olympic marathon, but just an average marathon. Do you think they're going to win that marathon? Probably not. They're in really good shape, but they're not going to be one of the top finishers in the marathon. Does that mean they're not a good athlete? Of course not. It just means they've trained for a different event. So you got to think of the PE exam as a mental marathon, right? We got to train for a mental marathon. If we're going to be taking a test that's 8 hours long, we got to subject ourselves to that long, grueling 8 hour time frame, sitting down and working problems nonstop. So if you can really dedicate yourself to 1 8 hour day per week, you're going to be way ahead of the competition. All right, next, you really got to learn to master the basics and to focus on the fundamentals. The fundamentals and the basics, you'll be better at kind of deriving formulas intuitively instead of having to memorize them. You're going to make way less mistakes. So really focusing on the fundamentals first, which is how we prefer to teach. It'll take a little bit longer in the beginning, but your learning is going to really accelerate, right? You're going to have that exponential curve in terms of how well you learn the material and how accurately and how correct you're answering practice problems when you're studying. So really focus on the fundamentals, focus on the basics. Next, more proven strategies to pass. There's all sorts of material to choose from when you're getting ready to study. You have to look for materials that have detailed solutions. Has anyone here worked through a practice exam before? Let me know in the chat. Say me, say I have, type 1 for yes. Who here has worked a practice exam? You get a problem wrong, you flip to the end of the book, and you look at the solution and try to figure it out, and there's like 2 steps. And it's, you're trying to figure out, how did the author go from A all the way to Z, right? They don't include all the steps. So maybe you're stuck in the beginning, maybe you're stuck in the middle, maybe you're stuck towards the end, but you can't figure out that gap of how the author went from here all the way to the end. Most materials skip steps. So look for materials with extremely detailed material. Look for illustrated guides. Look for visual learning aids. If you're solving a variable, what does it look like? Where is it on the circuit? Where is it on the machine? What direction is it in? What's the polarity? Look for material with solutions that also have diagrams that show exactly what you just solved for. That way, visually, you can remember it. Next, I really recommend skipping reading reference books. Now, most people don't need to buy reference books anymore because you can't bring in your own references, but there are still some academic books that are good, and I do recommend them. Don't read them page for page. Waste of time. It's going to take way too much time. Trying to read a reference book, it's like watching paint dry. It's just not effective. It's boring and it's too time consuming. Instead, learn by doing. Do as many practice problems as possible and look at the solutions. Learn from the solutions. And then seek out similar practice problems that you got wrong. Maybe in certain areas where you really struggle at, if you have the time, if you've been studying early, then get an academic book or get a thicker book and kind of work through it. But in general, you want to just learn by doing over and over and over, repetition, repetition, repetition. Just like when we talk about learning the fundamentals, in the beginning, that approach, it's going to seem like you're getting a lot of problems wrong. It's going to seem like you're not improving very much. But once everything starts to click, once you've been exposed to all sorts of different problems, different fundamentals, concept formulas, your accuracy in solving problems is going to be exponential. It's really going to take off. So really learn by doing. Next, by the time you take the exam, please take at least 4 practice exams. At least 4. And when you take them just like the real thing. Set a timer for 4 hours. Do the morning session. Take a break. Set that same timer for another 4 hours. Take the afternoon session. Don't look at the answers. Don't check your work until it's all said and done with. Why do you want to do that? When you take the exam, you're going to be bombarded by questions that you don't know. You're going to be intimidated. You're going to have to work problems without any help. You're going to have to work problems without knowing if you're correct or not. You want to subject yourself to these same conditions, right? That same mental marathon that you're going to take in the exam room. So take at least 4 practice exams. Take them just like the real thing. Next, when you get problems wrong, whether it's in practice problems, whether it's in books, whether it's in an online class, keep an index, right? Write it down. Write down what the problem was, what the topic was, and then put a date on it. Every couple of weeks, go back to that list, work those problems over. Give yourself enough time that you don't really have the solution memorized anymore, right? You're still going to recognize that problem, but you won't have it memorized. Give yourself enough time to work it kind of from scratch. It really helps to identify in what you're struggling with. It helps to identify, okay, if I were to take the PE exam tomorrow, what topics would prevent me from passing? So now I know I got to spend time on these topics. And then the last 4 are key. It's why they're underlined. Join a program that teaches you with an active hands-on approach. Hands-on. If you can join a program where you're working problems live in real time with someone else, you're going to learn a lot faster and way more effective. Avoid programs that just read slides, right? The only time I ever read slides is if I'm giving a how to pass webinar like this, or if we're talking about motivation strategy. But you should be doing every single thing hands-on. You don't want to have a passive learning environment. If you're sitting back like this watching someone present, you're not learning. You're not going to remember it. But if you're sitting there working problems in real time with someone else, that's great. Next, join a community of other engineers taking the exam at the same time. A lot of times when we take the PE exam, it feels like we're by ourselves. It feels like we're working a silo or on an island. It can get quite lonely, and it's hard to keep the motivation up when it feels like we don't have a team. So if you can join a community where there's a group of other engineers taking the same exam as you are, that's going to keep you motivated, and it's going to help you discuss problem areas with other people that are learning the material alongside with you. Next, join a program that holds you accountable. One of the hardest things about the time commitment for studying for the exam is it gets boring, right? We put it off. It's just like everyone knows we should work out. I know I should too. How often do we do it? Maybe right after, it could be a New Year's resolution. Maybe we work out for a month and then it gets pushed off for other priorities. Same thing with studying for the PE exam. Try to find a program that holds you accountable to a study schedule, to a good pace that forces you to study even when you don't feel like it. A lot of times that's going to be the difference between passing and failing. And last, find a mentor. If you can find someone else that's already passed the PE exam that you can interact with regularly, whether it's an instructor of an online program like me, or whether it's someone in real life, maybe it's a boss or colleague that already passed the PE exam, find a mentor that can help you with those tougher problems, that's been where you've been before, so that they can reassure you, hey, I know it's tough right now, but you're going to get past this. And once you have your PE exam, you never have to do it again. All right, so we talked about the proven strategies to pass. So now I want to share more about who I am, what we do, and how we help engineers pass the PE exam. And then I'm just looking at time here. I'm going to try to keep it to about an hour. So, and we will take more questions after this too to help keep everything interactive. So, electrical PE review, how we can help. So we offer a comprehensive online program. We have 21 live classes that are about 3 hours each. We cover all the exam topics. We have an on-demand review course that's extremely large, covers all exam subjects. There's over 400 practice problems, over 300 videos, individual 10 to 15 minute videos of how to solve each problem. Maybe you've seen some of our videos on YouTube. It's kind of like that. We use the on-demand review course as the pre-work for the live class. So every live class, we assign pre-work from the on-demand review course. Maybe we're learning transformers. Hey, here's the course modules you need to complete on transformers before our class starts next week. And then once the live class is over, here's the homework for that topic. We have 2 remedial, what I call boot camps, power fundamentals and circuit analysis boot camps. These are key. They're only about 2 hours long each, but they tell you exactly what you need to know to solve any power fundamentals or circuit analysis relationship for any problem. Transformers, motors, delta, Y, transmission lines, doesn't matter. Once you know those fundamentals, you can apply them to any subject. So we typically have our students complete those first before our first class. Everything else is easier when you learn the fundamentals first, because the fundamentals are in every topic. Next, we have a full-length 80-question practice exam. It's the Electrical Engineering PE Practice Exam and Technical Study Guide. You can get it on Amazon, the hard copy, I think for like 39 bucks. Sometimes there's sales, or you can get it on our website. We also include it with enrollment at no cost. It's the most solution-rich practice exam you will ever come across. There's more visual aids, more graphs, formulas, diagrams, and commentary than any other practice exam. I want to say we probably spend about 2 or 3 pages per question on the solution. So again, it doesn't matter if you're stuck on the fundamental part in the beginning, it doesn't matter if you're stuck on the middle part of the problem, it doesn't matter if you're stuck on the end part of the problem, you'll be able to find what you're missing to solve it and to learn it quickly and to move on, right? It's a much more efficient way to learn. Next, we have a new, we're calling it the AIT practice exam. We're about halfway through, really excited about this. Should be published in the next couple of months, but there isn't a lot of AIT questions to study from yet. AIT is alternate information type. It's the new type of problems you'll see on the PE exam. I want to say we've got about the first 47 done, but this will be a standalone PDF, and we'll also have it available on Amazon, but it's also included in our enrollment. Next, we have a random practice exam generator. So from our extremely large bank of practice problems, we have a software where you can simulate practice exams in 5 problem increments, 10 problem increments, 15, 20, 25, and 40 problem increments. So whether you have 30 minutes to just do a random sample of questions, or whether you have 4 hours, right, you can complete random practice problems from all areas, right? That helps to prevent you from getting stuck in just one topic. There's always that one topic that engineers really like to kind of steer down, kind of like in a rabbit hole. A lot of times it's symmetrical components just because it's technical, or transformers or motors tends to be the more common one for power. And I really advise against doing that, because while you might get every question right on that topic, you're going to get the other topics wrong because you spent all your time studying the majority of one subject. So random practice exam generator, it's one of the most powerful tools we offer. And then, of course, we do offer 100% complimentary retake guarantee. If you sign up for us, you don't pass, we'll put you right back in the program at no cost. There's no required minimums like most other providers. You can skip every class, skip all the assignments. We're all adults, we're all professionals. I'm not here to babysit you. I'm just here to coach you. I'm here to hold you accountable, and I'm here to answer your questions. I'm here to teach you live. So if life gets in the way, if you have a new child, if you get married, or if you just have trouble with motivation, if you enroll with us and you don't pass, we'll put you right back in our program, no questions asked. All right, so that's what we offer. So now I want to let you know about how we teach. We teach everything from the fundamentals up, right? Zero assumptions. You don't need to have any prior knowledge of engineering. As long as you know basic arithmetic, right? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, you have everything you need to know to pass the exam with our program, right? So we're going to hold you accountable to a really vigorous weekly study schedule. Those 21 live classes occur twice a week, and we move at a pretty quick pace. Best time to enroll is about a month prior to live class, so you can start completing the on-demand work first. But every week, we're going to completely fill your study schedule with the pre-work for each class in the on-demand course, then with the actual live class itself, about 6 hours per week of live instruction, working alongside me and asking questions in real time, just like you guys are asking questions here in the chat room. And you're going to get assigned homework follow-up for each class. It's going to be tough, but it's going to keep you motivated and accountable to keep up with all the other students. So it's going to help you prepare for the PE exam when it comes time to take it. We already talked about working out problems together in real time. If you've never seen one of our YouTube videos, you can even sample some of our live classes. I highly encourage you. If you just search our name, Electrical PE Review on YouTube, it'll pull it right up. I'm very interactive, as you probably have already guessed. I constantly like to ask questions in the chat. I constantly like to make sure everyone is where they need to be. When we solve problems live, I always have people put their answers in the chat so we can stop and pause and explore different areas as needed to make sure that we understand each concept. You're going to be grouped together with other engineers taking the exam. So most of the time when you take the PE exam, you might know one or two people in real life taking it at the same time, but it's typically rare, right? Engineers take the PE exam at all different points in their career. So I'm going to group you with the entire class of motivated engineers that have a willingness to put in the work. You're going to be working with them in the live class chat room and our private discussion board, right, that I lead and maintain. It's extremely engaged. It really helps to keep up that team feel. It's almost like sitting at the table, working problems together in a team coordinated group effort. It's fantastic. I really believe in rich visual aids. I'm a visual learner. Most engineers are too. If you look at the graphic in this image, just kind of just gives you an idea of the level of detail and diagrams we provide. For me, I want to see it. If I'm solving for a value, I want to see where it's at on the diagram, on the power flow. I want to know where it's at, right? We can't touch electricity, of course. That's what makes electrical engineering so difficult, right? Can't see it, can't really touch it. Wouldn't want to touch it. But being able to see a visual representation of the value we're solving for really helps cement it in our minds, helps remember it. We have practice problems of every type, right? Our entire program is something well over 600 practice problems, constantly being added to and updated. And we really teach for all levels of industry experience and math backgrounds. Last semester, I think we had our oldest engineer pass the PE exam. I believe he was 64 years old. He wanted to pass. Number one is a milestone before retiring, and number two was linked to pension benefits, so help him in retirement. From one extreme to the other, we have first-year engineers fresh out of college that pass the exam, and everyone in between. It doesn't matter your industry experience background, doesn't matter your math background. We teach everything from the ground up, no assumptions. And we're also practical for all time zones. The majority of our content is on demand. Think of it as the Netflix for the PE exam, right? Access it at any time. Our live class program, I record it in real time. And as soon as we're done, the recording of that class gets uploaded to the student dashboard. So whether or not you want to just revisit the tough part of the lecture that you're trying to learn more about, or something came up, you had to stay late at work, you had to pick up a kid from soccer, or you were spending time with your spouse, right? Life gets in the way sometimes. So if you need to catch up on your own time, that's great. Sometimes we get military personnel stationed in Guam, Hawaii, We get some engineers in Saudi Arabia that are on different time zones that can't attend it live, but they watch the recording day of as soon as it's uploaded, and you can still ask questions in the private discussion board even if you're not live. So it's really practical for all time zones, practical for all schedules, no matter how busy. All right, why we are the fastest growing provider for the electrical power PE exam. We specialize in electrical power only. That's it. So I'm sorry to the civil engineers in the chat. We don't provide for civil engineering. We specialize in electrical power only, and we don't use third-party instructors. Okay, I am the single point of contact for all students. Whether you have a question about class, whether you're sitting in one of our classes learning the material, whether you're watching the on-demand material, whether you have a question about billing, about sales, whether you have a question about anything about the exam, I'm your single point of contact, right? So it's we are extremely incentivized to produce results. Most providers, they cater to all disciplines, power, all of the civil exams, right? All of the mechanical exams. The material tends to be watered down. It tends to be hard to learn from. It tends to be quick. You're really learning from someone that's just presenting, that's just reading from a textbook. Good luck with that, right? That's the same as grabbing a book and just trying to learn it on your own, right? It's difficult when third-party instructors are used and all the subjects are taught, all the PE exam disciplines are taught. So we focus on the technical aspects of every subject that most providers typically ignore or get wrong, right? Some of the stuff is really challenging, right? Symmetrical components per unit. Some of the stuff, it's deep. A lot of the other providers that cater to all subjects, they just don't know it. And when you ask them a question, they're going to pretend like they didn't see it, or they're just going to ignore it. And guess what? They're an independent contractor for that company. So do you really think they care at the end of the day whether or not you got your question answered? They don't. We also use a hands-on, look at the second bullet point from last. We use a hands-on learning approach with a tremendous amount of visual aids, like I talked about, because most engineers are visual or kinesthetic learners, right? Learning by doing. And of course, our retake guarantee is no questions asked. Most providers that offer it, you have to attend every single class live. You have to submit every certain assignment that they give. You have to get like a 90% passing score on every single assignment. The majority of other providers, their retake, you can't really claim it. It's kind of catch-22. They'll give you so much work to do that's not possible to do with a full-time job as a way to say, well, you didn't do all the material. Of course, you didn't pass. You didn't put in the time. You don't get a retake. We don't believe in that, right? We're all professionals. We all have busy lives. If you enroll with us, you're going to do great. And if life got in the way and you weren't able to study this time around, we're going to put you right back in the program. And if you don't pass the first time, which is extremely rare, that sting of not passing the first time means you're really going to take it more serious next time. So retake guarantee, no questions asked. No questions asked, no material completion requirements. All right, we talked about third-party instructors, right? I'm the single point of contact. I make all of the material, right? Any technical questions are being answered directly from me. We don't shy away from any questions. I'm not scared. If I don't know something, it does happen every now and then, but we'll typically figure it out within a day or two and send it out. I'm really big on prioritizing individual attention. I'm really good at delivering prompt or one-on-one support, either from myself or from our community. That's one of the other biggest things that sets us apart. A lot of times other providers, you don't even hear from the instructor. If you do, it's 2 weeks later. Who wants that, right? You can't learn that way. So we're created for busy professionals. Everything we teach is to the point and it's fast. We don't waste time teaching you things that you don't need to know. We don't waste time reading slides. We're only going to teach you exactly what you need to know, but we're going to teach it with enough depth that it's going to stick. You're going to keep it with you. And we update, looking at the bottom bullet point here, we update every semester based on student feedback. Most of these other companies, they're huge. They cater to all students, all types of engineering, and the third-party instructors are typically teaching the material made by a different instructor 10 years ago. It's terrible. The material is dated, it's stale, it's incorrect a lot of times. We update every semester based on feedback. We hold interviews with just about every student. To my knowledge, we were the first power exam provider, service exam provider, to completely update for the CBT format. The new CBT format was first announced in August 2020. Before the end of the year, we had already completely updated our live class semester to be completely CBT compliant and focus on the new handbook. And since then, we've already taught that entire curriculum 3 separate occasions, and it's already gone through 3 separate revisions. So while other providers are still now just starting to update, we finished that last year, and we've already been able to refine it many times over. All right, we're getting to the end here, and we're going to take some more questions to keep you guys engaged. I know I've been talking for a while now. So really quick, we offer 4 semesters every year in all 4 quarters. January through March is the spring live semester. April through June is the spring on-demand semester, which we're just about finishing. July through September is the fall live semester, which is just about to start. And then the end of the year, October to December, is the fall on-demand semester. All right, I know I've been doing quite a lot of talking here, talking about us, talking about what we provide. So I'm looking at this question on the bottom, and I'm looking in the chat room for some answers from you guys. Any questions for me about what we provide, about how we help engineers pass the PE exam, maybe about how we teach, maybe about what our live classes are like. Any questions for us as a PE exam service provider that you're looking to have a better understanding for? Go ahead, put it right in the chat. Nico, great question, said how much? Our prices are listed publicly at www.electricalpereview.com. I encourage all of you to take a look afterwards. We provide an extremely generous free trial. And actually, I don't want to get ahead of myself. That's on the next slide we'll talk about. But a lot of companies will actually pay for it for you. I'm not sure if Pepco has considered that or not. But a lot of times, most employers will even cover the cost. Any other questions? Brandon said, how often are the lessons? Once per day, per week? Great question. So Brandon, the on-demand review course is massive. It's completely comprehensive. That'll probably take anywhere from 2 or 3 months to complete on your own time. The live classes are twice a week. We typically meet on Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So the live class runs for 11 weeks, right? Figure about 3 months. And 2 classes a week for a total of 21 classes. Let's see, Christopher said, is it covered by our company tuition reimbursement? Good question. I don't know. I'd be happy to, if someone wants to send me an email address to someone in HR or someone that oversees employee professional development, I'm happy to talk to them. Again, most companies do. A lot of our corporate contracts do come from typically either utility companies like Pepco or design firms. So there's a very good chance that it is. Let's see, Vincent said, for all the folks on this call, Vincent said, for all the folks on this call, we do have tuition reimbursement that covers prep courses. Fantastic. We're really flexible with that. I love it when employers cover it because it's a win-win-win for everybody. For you guys, it's free enrollment. For us, we get an engineer, we get a new student that doesn't have to pay for it out of pocket, and the employer now gets an employee with much more career development with a PE license. So it's a win-win-win all around. Great. Any other questions? Anyone else have any other questions about electricalpereview.com, about myself, Zach Stone, about what we provide, our teaching methodologies, how we pass it, or how we help engineers pass the PE exam, anything at all? All right, I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide. Feel free to put your questions in the chat. I'll be happy to answer them if they come in after. Good question. Aaron said, if I haven't applied to sit for an exam yet, do you think it's too late to shoot for the next test date? Just found out I'm eligible as of this month. I don't think so. That's a good question. I don't think so. You should be able to register for an exam within 1 or 2 months. Let me go back to the last slide. Our upcoming live class semester starts July. We're about to start the fall live semester. I want to say, I think it's Tuesday, July 6th off the top of my head, is when our first live class is. Live class goes for about 3 months. And typically you're going to want to study for about a month after that just to go through all the live class recordings. We're in areas that you struggle with to go back and practice problems. So typically 3 to 4 months, you got plenty of time to study. You have plenty of time to register for the exam and enroll in fall. Nico said, what's the pass rate for first time? Oh, got more questions. Great. Let me scroll back up to Nico. Nico said, what's the pass rate for first time exam takers who used our program, who enrolled in electrical PE review? Great question. Right now, I don't have anything I can give that's apples to apples with other providers, and I'll tell you why. We're looking at a way to publish that data because we're very proud of it. Our engineers are extremely successful. We're one of the only programs that offers a monthly subscription plan. Just about every other provider, you've got to enroll in the whole course, the whole semester. While we do offer an entire semester enrollment, we do offer, in addition to that, a pay-as-you-go monthly subscription. Maybe someone can only afford 1 month. Maybe they're not sure. They want to test it out first. So typically, we have a tremendous amount of signups in the last month for people that only enroll for 1 month. So that can kind of skew our data a little bit. So we're looking at a way to be more transparent, because that's a fantastic question to have, especially when you're trying to evaluate what provider to enroll with. So we're looking for a way to publish data of people that, here's the pass rates for the full 6-month semester. Here's the pass rates for the 5-month enrollment. Here's the pass rates for people that only enrolled in 4 months or 3 months, 2 months, 1 month. In the meantime, since we don't have that data to give you just yet, Nico and everyone else, the best way that you can evaluate the different exam providers, if you're thinking about enrolling in a program, which you should, it's going to help teach you faster and hold you accountable, look at our reviews. Go to electricalpereview.com, click on the courses, look at the reviews. We update them every month. I want to say we have either the April or May reviews. I want to say we have May now. Nope, we have May published. We'll be publishing the reviews from this month, next month. Read the reviews. They're fantastic. They're from our students, directly from our students. And try the free trial, which I'll talk about too. If someone doesn't have a free trial, that means they're scared of their material. We give away some of our best material for free, because I want to show you how we teach. I want to show off. And if someone can't afford it, we're still going to be in a position to help them. So try the free trial, and I'll show that on the next slide. And read the reviews. Let's see, more questions. Aaron said, I heard that it could be a long turnaround to get approved to sit for the test. Aaron, in that case, I would recommend reaching directly out to your state board. Is everyone here mostly based out of Maryland? Aaron, I would recommend talking to your state board, talk to NCEES, get an estimate for how long it takes to get approved to sit for the exam. And in the meantime, just sign up for the free trial. Our free trial can keep you busy for a couple of months. It's loaded with plenty of high quality training material. Braden said, for the PE exam, I know it's pure jurisdiction. If you get your PE in the District of Columbia, do you have to retake the test for the PE certification in Virginia or Maryland? Great question from, is it Braden? Did I say that correctly? Every state's a little different, but typically they have reciprocity, which means if I have a license in Florida, I can apply, say, to Maryland or maybe Texas, New York, California, or anywhere else I might be working or anywhere else I might move to. And as long as I already satisfy their requirements, I won't have to take the PE exam. I won't have to jump through the hoops again. Again, it's a little different for each state, but for the most part, if you pass the PE exam and you get your license in one state, you can apply to that state and say, hey, I already have my PE exam passed in my home state. I already have my professional engineering license. Please look at my application. And they're going to say, okay, does he have the 4 years of experience? Yes. Did he pass the PE exam? Yes. Did he pass the FE exam? Yes. Is he an engineer in good standing? Yes. They're going to say, okay, well, you've already satisfied all of the requirements to be a licensed engineer in our state. So here you go. Here's your license in our state. That's typically how it works. William, great. William said in DC, it only took him 1 month to get approved. Great. Yeah, it's usually not too bad. It's usually not too bad. Thanks, William. Aaron said, follow up on Braden's question, how much extra to get reciprocity licensure between states? It's probably just a couple $100 application fee, if that. It's not bad, Aaron. The most difficult thing is passing the PE exam and getting your license in your home state. After that, it's usually just going through red tape and writing applications to get your license in a different state. It's really not too bad. All right, great questions. So we're just about a little bit over 1 hour. So I got one more slide before I do an open Q&A. Fantastic questions. Thank you everyone so much who's been participating in the chat. It makes it more interesting for me. I know it makes it more interesting for you. You're probably thinking at this point, wow, I was just given a wealth of information, so much information. Where do I start? I just learned all the different ways passing the PE exam will benefit my career. I learned all the different ways the exam is challenging and difficult. I learned proven strategies to get around those difficult hurdles. I learned about this cool online class, Electrical PE Review. That's one of the fastest growing providers for the exam. What do I do now? So I got two things for you. I want to keep it small. That way it's very actionable, right? It's doable. But I've got 2 steps for where you can start today. Number 1, you heard me say it before, sign up for our free trial. It's fantastic. I want to say we even have 1 or 2 live class recordings in the free trial, but the free trial can keep you busy for months. We've got videos, we've got text lessons, practice problems. It's taken straight from the paid enrollment. So you can just go to our website, www.electricalpereview.com. I'm not sure if you guys can see my cursor, but if you look at our logo in the top left of my screen, same thing, electrical PE, like the PE exam, review.com. And I want to say there's a button right there where you can click on the free trial. Sign up for the free trial. You'll be able to test drive our core software. You'll be able to work a lot of the on-demand modules. And the best thing is it gives me your email address. So it lets me communicate with you as we send out updates. Like I said, we're really excited about that new 80-question AIT practice exam. We're going to start solving some of those problems live on YouTube. We're going to do like YouTube Live, Zoom Live for free as a way to promote that upcoming book. So you can attend those. You'll see more info when we post videos on YouTube that are free. So even just enrolling in our free trial helps you keep in touch with us to stay updated. So that's step 1. Step 2, here's a really fun thing I want to share with you. We started this at the beginning of the year when I can't tell you, there's so much fear and uncertainty about the new CBT format. Okay, guess what? Nothing to be afraid of. But you had engineers that were studying for over a year, right? April 2020, that was canceled. October 2020, that was canceled. You had engineers that were studying for a year to take the paper and pencil format, and they were all of a sudden told, guess what? Can't do that anymore. Now you're taking the CBT format, and you can't bring in references. People were scared. They were. I would have been scared too. So we put together a new YouTube show called How to Pass the CBT PE Exam. If you just search How to Pass the CBT PE Exam on YouTube, you'll find this playlist. We got about a dozen interviews so far. We interview past students to find out what worked, what didn't work, what helped you pass, what was a waste of time, what was difficult, what was easy, what turned out to be more difficult than you anticipated, what turned out to be less difficult. So we've got about over a dozen interviews of former students all talking about their firsthand experience with the new CBT format. So again, the CBT format is relatively new. It just started in December 2020. It's now offered every month. So these interviews are fantastic. If you want to get a really firsthand view of what it's going to be like when you sit down in that exam room in front of a computer to take the CBT exam, watch these interviews. And these interviews also talk a little bit about their experience being a student in our online program. So it's just a good, unbiased look at what makes us different, right? Why we're so special. So those 2 things: sign up for a free trial, right? You can test drive some of our best study material, and it'll help us stay in touch with you. And then the second, watch some of these interviews on YouTube. Just search How to Pass the CBT PE Exam, or search on YouTube Electrical PE Review, or search my name, Zach Stone, that add PE, search Zach Stone PE, and look for that playlist. All of these are different interviews with past students. All right, how'd I do? It's about 12 minutes over 1 hour. So any questions at all that I can answer about or talk to you about, whether it's about strategy, the PE exam, whether it's about us, anything that's on your mind. Nico said, which state is it easier or quicker to get the license? It's about the same in all states. All states require 4 years of experience. Some states require you to have 4 years first and then take the exam. Now the growing trend, it's called decoupled states. They're decoupling the 4-year requirement from taking the PE exam. So now a lot of states, you can take the PE exam first year out of college and then wait till you get those 4 years of experience before you get your license. If you're not sure, go to your state board's website. They're pretty good about giving that information. There are a couple of states that offer, it's called an FE waiver. If you haven't passed the FE exam, if you've got something like 10 years of experience or 15 years of experience, or if you have a PhD, which not many people do, they'll let you skip the FE exam and take the PE exam. But the problem with that is I would avoid traveling. If you haven't taken the FE exam, if you're eligible for an FE waiver in, say, some obscure state that you don't live in, I would avoid traveling to that state to get your license, because if your home state requires the FE exam, right, if your home state does not honor that FE waiver, then your home state isn't going to let you get your license via reciprocity if you haven't taken the PE exam. Best thing to do is just get it done in your home state first. I really advise it. Let's see. Julio said, in my experience, Maryland was the quickest. Excellent. Sayful said, you'll be given references as well as all the code books in the PDF format, just like the FE CBT test. Yeah. If you want to learn more about the CBT format, I really encourage you to watch these interviews on YouTube, how to pass the PE exam, when I interview former students. Anything else? Any other questions? I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to get off the share here so you guys can see me a little bit bigger. Let's see. I'm still new to Microsoft Teams. This is my first time actually using Microsoft Teams. I think that stopped sharing. Great. Can you guys see me can you see me in full screen now?
Yes.
Excellent. You're welcome, Aaron. Great. Wonderful. Any other questions? We'll leave it open for maybe a minute or two if anyone's still typing. Great. Well, it looks like it's slowing down. I hope you guys enjoyed this presentation. I'd like to thank all of you for attending. I'd like to thank Pepco for the opportunity to be here remotely and to talk to you about this. I hope that I've done a couple of things. I hope that, number one, I've encouraged you and inspired you to pursue your license. It's going to benefit you in ways you can't even imagine, especially for career opportunities. If you end up moving somewhere, I mean, it's fantastic to have. So I hope I really encouraged you and inspired you to take it. I hope I shared with you realistic hurdles that make it difficult, right? Because I want you to take it serious. I don't want you to say, I'm just going to sign up, study for a month and pass. That's not realistic. So, I'm always going to be honest and transparent, just how I am. So I hope I gave you a realistic expectation of what you're up against. I hope you walk away from this presentation with really useful strategies that you can use, whether or not you enroll with us or someone else, whether you just study from books. I hope the strategies that I've shared with you today really make you feel more confident. I hope they're going to help you on your journey to passing. And after today, I hope you have a good idea of who we are, who I am, what we offer, and that why we are one of the fastest growing service providers for the Power Exam, and why we're so different and special. All of you, I really encourage you to sign up for our free trial. I'm going to put it in the chat here, www.electricalpereview.com. Go ahead and click that link now, just so it's in your browser when this meeting is over. Take 2 seconds, sign up for that free trial. It'll help us keep in touch. You can use the free trial for as long as you like. So even if you're not planning on taking the PE exam anytime soon, it'll be there when you need it. And yeah, that's about it. I really can't appreciate my gratitude for being here today. Let's see, Nico said, is there a continuous learning requirement after passing the PE exam? Do you offer any classes? Again, every state is different. In my home state of Florida, it's like every 2 years. I think it's about 18 or so hours of continuing education. It's really easy. We don't provide that yet, but we're looking at pivoting that in the near future. We're looking at providing that. We've been asked for it a lot. But once you get your license, it's very easy to hang on to it. The difficult work is getting your license. After that, pretty much have it for life. Am I sending the slides? I'd be happy to, sure. Here's what I'll do is I'll forward them in PDF format to the organizers of this meeting, and I'll let them distribute that. Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. All right, last step before we go, grade me on a scale of 1 to 5. 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. How did I do at encouraging you to take the PE exam by talking about what the benefits are? How well did I do at really being realistic with how difficult it is so you really know what you're undertaking? How well did I do at arming you with these proven strategies that we've used to help coach engineers to pass the PE exam now for since 2014? And how well did I do at really letting you know who we are and what we offer? Excellent. Aaron said 10 out of 5. Thank you, Aaron. Let's see. I see a 5 from Saiful, 5+ from William, 5 from, is it Kadeem? Did I say your name right? 5 from Mamadou, 5 from Darren, A-Ray, 5 from Haj, William, is it Avi, Abby, 5 from Daniela, Christopher, excellent, awesome, that makes me so happy. That lets me know that this time we spent together was very effective. Great, well that's just about all I have for now. Sign up for that free trial so we can keep in touch. My email address, you're more than welcome to reach out to me personally. My email address is on our website. It's Zach, my first name with an H, Z-A-C-H, and I'll type it out in the chat, at electricalpereview.com. Even if you want to reach out and say hi, feel free to do so. I'm a regular person, just like all of you.
Yep. So, thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
That was a great session. It was really interactive, insightful, and informative for our future engineers, like who might be willing to take PE. So I know you are awesome instructor. I still miss your classes. So and then you have great teaching styles. So yeah, and then your notes are very effective and to the point. So I would say, like, based on my experience. So thank you so much, Jack. So making time, coming before us, talking about strategies on how to pass PE certifications. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So before we end this call, does anyone have any additional or last-minute questions? Okay, thank you everyone for joining this session. Have a good rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Everybody.
Thank you.